And we're live! Hello and welcome. I hope you can see me and you can hear me. If you can, I would love to hear from you in the chat. So if you can hear me, do let me know. First of all, that you can hear me. And second of all, if you have type 1, let me know that you do. What tech are you using and where you tune in from, just so I have a rough idea of who is here. I am super excited to do my first live. Wonderful. Hello everyone, lots of people tuned in. I will be looking at this side of the screen. I know you guys are here, but all my questions are on this side. Wonderful. Hello everyone. Hello Stephen, Robert, C. Davis, Brain Smith, John, Billy. Loads of questions in the comments already. Hello, hey. Type 2, Libre 2, wonderful. There is a lot of Libre 2 stuff happening, so we'll be talking about that for sure. Hey, hello everyone. Well, wonderful. So, as you can probably tell, this is not in any way polished session. By the way, I hope you do have a drink. I did tell everyone to bring a drink. I'm drinking some wine, so I'll be sipping throughout this evening. We'll probably go live for about 45 minutes, but we will see how many questions I have and how we flow. I thought before we dive into the questions, I do super quick, like what has happened within the last couple of weeks overview. So you might have seen a couple of days ago, Libre 2 app in the US was approved. See, I need to move here. There you go. Libre 2 app was approved in the US. Not a lot really to talk about. It's just been approved. And very similar to what we've seen in Europe and all other regions in the world. Interesting fact, in the US, it's only iOS, at least only for now. And they have a separate app. So it's not Libre Link, it's actual Libre 2 app. And speaking of separate apps, Libre 3, which we will get into in a minute, also has a separate app. It just has a 3 instead of the 2 here. And other kind of most recent news things is Dexcom recently had an approval of a real-time connectivity to their G6 and soon their G7 as well. So that's really the two things that I just wanted to cover before we actually dive in. A little bit of echo. I'm sorry. I hope it's not too distracting. Okay, so let's dive into the questions. So, Billy, any chance closed-loop systems can address hyperglycemia next year? For example, I see your glucose is 225. Shall I administer 4.2 units based on time and carb ratio? So, hybrid closed-loop systems. If you have been following me for a while, you might have seen my hybrid closed-loop systems diagram. So this is it. And if you're new to this, basically it presents all the different connections in diabetes tech. So the top row is continuous glucose monitors. The middle row is what we call the algorithm. So it sounds like you have two microphones. I do have two microphones. Is that better? There is like a 10-second delay between what I say and when you can hear it. So I will wait to see. Is that better? Yes. Wonderful. I had a couple of trial sessions and just to make sure. Yeah, much better. Wonderful. So, wonderful. So thank you so much for David. I hugely appreciate it because that's the kind of feedback I need. I'm terrible with live streaming, so we can only get better. Anyway, so hyperglycemia next year. Well, so and then the insulin pumps are at the bottom. So CGM's top, algorithms in the middle, and pumps at the bottom. So by design, a hybrid closed loop system delivers additional insulin when your glucose is above a certain level. So that can be done by two ways. First,
is by increasing the what we call the basal rate, so the background rate insulin, or if it's significantly higher by delivering what we call a correction bolus. Now, I'm not sure I'm really understanding. You can clarify exactly what you mean, because they are already addressing hyperglycemia. I think what you really mean is being more aggressive with the corrections. So if that's what you're referring to, because you're saying at 225, which is obviously above the recommended glucose level, the second generation hybrid closed loop system, so things like 780 and probably Control IQ, they are more aggressive than things like this 670. Also, I should probably clarify that we are talking about commercial systems. Obviously, there is an entire DIY spectrum. I have actually thought about doing a similar diagram for the DIY systems, but it's so incredibly complicated. And with so many different things, I am creating a similar, well, not exactly a graphic like that, but something similar for the DIY system. So I'll be sharing that on Twitter in due course. I hope that answers your question. John, I'm excited to learn more about G7 release dates and possible conversion for us on G6 already. So I knew questions about G7 were coming, so I already have a deck for that. So G7, if you don't know about G7 and want to a quick kind of guide through G7, Dexcom's first ever all-in-one CGM. So up until now they had transmitters and sensors. With the G7 is all-in-one. There is a slide with Jake Leach, the Chief Technology Officer, and you can read all of the details. I hope this is in 1080. I hope you can see this live stream in full resolution. If you can, then you should be able to read what it says there. Release dates for G7. It's a golden question, and first of all, I just wanted to stress that the pandemic has really delayed many things. When it comes to G7, from the most recent earnings call for Dexcom, which actually happened just 3 days ago. So one of the reasons why we're doing the stream this week is because a bunch of updates have been happening over the last couple of days. So in that investors call, which was literally 3 days ago, they said they're hoping for European launch within 2021, so this year, and they've already filed for CE mark within the European Union. So, which indicates that Europe is most likely to be the first region to get G7, which is unusual for Dexcom, because they usually launch products in the US first, but it seems like it'll be in Europe first, and then they haven't made any statements about the US launch, so I don't want to speculate. But what we do know for sure is that they filed for the European approval. They haven't filed with the American FDA, so I guess that tells you that they probably will be in Europe first. And also on a wider point, the pandemic hasn't really made such a big difference to the European approvals. Because of the way the European Commission is structured, whereas the FDA, had a much bigger impact, in my opinion, than the European approvals. Pancreas transplants. Oh gosh. I have to be completely honest. This is an area that let's go to the main screen. This is an area that I don't follow that closely. I wouldn't want to give you any information that is incorrect. So I'm so sorry, but I won't be able to help with that one. I think it's incredibly interesting to follow all of the newest science updates, but nothing that I know of, like breakthrough, has happened recently. Libre 2, I love your content. Oh, thank you so much. What is a good Apple Watch app for Night Scout? God bless, things I use Medtronic. Okay, good Apple Watch app for Night Scout. So, for those who don't know what Night Scout is a DIY solution to share your glucose data and a bunch of other information. So think of it as like Dexcom Share or Libre Link up, but on steroids. Good Apple Watch app. I would need to check because my my watch app. Let me just have a sip of wine. I can tell you which the one that I'm using, which is pretty good. By the way, I've got my vaccination sticker. Can you see that? There you go. I've had my COVID vaccination, which is very cute. I was very nice to the nurses, and they gave me a very nice sticker. I'm like a kid. I am a kid. Anyway, so the app that I have been using. Actually, there's actually a funny story. I actually don't have a Night Scout app on my Apple Watch now because I had an accident and had to restart everything. I would probably say Sugarmate is probably quite reliable because it provides very up-to-date info on the Apple Watch through the calendar complication. Sugarmate, let me type that in, Sugarmate. Annoyingly, it is impossible to reply to comments directly. Pin report, yeah. So I typed it in the chat for you. A bit of echo. Which one? Will Libre 3 work with Libre 2 3.0 patched? So I'm assuming you're referring to the DIY patched app. So actually, let's talk Libre 3. So Libre 3. It's in what I would consider soft launch in Germany. You cannot buy it on the website as of yet, but it's available through some channels. It's been available to bloggers. If you want to get some real world user experience from it, my good friend Steffi has a great blog, Pep Me Up. She's done loads of coverage because she has been using the Libre 3, so you can check that. I don't know, and I'm sure the DIY community will work on that, but I haven't seen any. I mean, it's not even out yet, if you like. So I think it will be a while before we can get the data of the Libre 3 app. Like I mentioned in the opening slides, it is separate. So Libre 3 app is different to the Libre Link app. So just like we're in the US where they went with a separate Libre 2 app just for the Libre 2, that's what's happening with Libre 3 as well. Okay, hope that answers your question. Where were we? Many people who have kids who found it difficult to get pumps. If that is, I'm not sure if that's a question or just a statement. Thoughts on free APS X? So that's I've used it. I really liked it. I like the algorithm. I think it's great to see so much innovation in the DIY community. Because there's been so many different names of this. The free APS X, that's the Android or Open APS algorithm on iPhone, basically. And I've used that algorithm when I tried Android APS, which is the Android equivalent of Loop, basically. And I really liked it. I'm back on Loop just because for me personally, and this is obviously just my personal kind of opinion, the way everything is displayed on Loop is just so clear to me, and I that's what I'm using currently. Two microphones. Where is Android APS? So if you're referring to that slide, Android APS is not here because it's just commercial systems. It's just commercial systems. Like I mentioned with the DIY systems, it would be like I actually tried, and it's so complicated. I also made a couple of points in my videos that I will make a similar diagram for smart pens. and I haven't yet done it because I'm still, I restarted it 5 times. The entire ecosystem is so difficult and so complicated because of factors like Apple Health is actually very complicated. So I will probably get a decent design at one point, but yeah, for the DIY, it will be quite challenging to do this. Dexcom go to Tidepool, then go to Medtronic. Yes, so Dexcom go to Tidepool, then. Well, so Tidepool Loop, which is this bit that you're referring to. Oh, you can't see my mouse. So Tidepool, they've signed partnerships with Dexcom and Medtronic for CGM compatibility. From what I understand, at launch, Tidepool Loop will work with Dexcom and Omnipod, and then they will add Medtronic products later. Tidepool also publicly said that they have 2 unannounced partners. So those can be either on the CGM or the pump side. I hope that's what you meant. Hey Camille, could you talk about your experience with Android APS? I really liked it. If I was an Android person, I would be using Android APS. I think it's an amazing, like the underlying algorithm, the open APS algorithm, it's just amazing. I'm just not an Android person. I'm an iPhone person. So it meant that I had to carry 2 phones around. And that was a burden. And for me personally, I felt like the quality of life improvement from slightly better algorithm where I didn't feel like bolusing for a meal wasn't worth the burden of carrying 2 phones at all time. But if you are an Android person, I mean, it's amazing. But you know, with the DIY systems, it just all depends on what you like, and that's the whole point. You do what you like. Cool. Do you think they would go lower glucose targets for hybrid closed loop systems? As 110 on my Tandem target is fine, but I would love to shoot for a bit lower. Yes. So already in Europe, Medtronic 780G, which is the newest hybrid closed loop system from Medtronic, that has a customizable target glucose of up to 100 milligrams per deciliter or 5.5. I think. Well, it's 100. That's the point. So it's lower than Tandem. So that is quite low. Also in Europe, I don't know where you asking this. If it's Tandem, it might be not available to you. But in Europe, Diabeloop system has been available in many countries across Europe with the AcuCheck Insight pump, and that also goes to 100. Milligrams per deciliter, the same as the Medtronic pump. Omnipod 5 system, which is currently under review, that also has 110. So when it comes to lower than 110, I think it will just be Medtronic and Diabeloop. And actually, and also in Europe, CAM APS also goes to much lower than that, but I can't remember the figure on top of my head, so I do apologize about that, but it goes lower. I've done, corresponding to this graphic, I've done a video explaining all 10 systems, and the systems that are out or had this information published, I specified target glucose ranges for the system, for the algorithm. So if you go to that video, you will know. I think it's 4.4, if my head tells me correctly. So to summarize, lowest commercial algorithm glucose targets are Diabeloop, Medtronic, and CAM APS. And then the ones that are in development, we don't know the final targets. I'm using free. I want to close loop of Omnipod. It's a good idea. I'm using Android. Well, so on the DIY systems, it's really up to you. I would say it depends on how accurate your your data is from your continuous glucose monitor. If you're using Freestyle Libre 1, then I would assume that you would connect it to a third-party Bluetooth transmitter, like Meow Meow or Bluecon or one of those things. If the data that you get from Android, so if the data that you get from XDrip is accurate, and you would be happy making insulin decisions from it, then that is something to consider. I'm not a healthcare professional, so don't take this as medical advice. And obviously Omnipod is perfect. I use it and I love it. What app's dashboard do you use to track e-health, not just glucose? Oh, this is a good question. So on the health front, I use Apple Health. Actually, speaking of Apple Health, I thought this might come up as well, and I've done a graphic for that. So I use Apple Health with the new iOS 15, which is coming out this September next month. Apple has made some great updates to the Apple Health app with trends, where they've built this very clever algorithm which not only looks at your health metrics, like obviously glucose, sleep patterns, walking distance, all of that. Obviously it knows that these things are going up or down, but they've also built an algorithm to select which of those metrics is the most important, and then that's the trend that they will show to you. So it's very clever stuff. So that's an iOS 15. Yes, but I only use health. For results and things like that, I obviously use the NHS app, but that's very UK centric. So that's where I access different National Health Service lab results and things like that. Beyond that, I don't use anything else. I think the Apple Health app does a tremendous job of combining loads of different health metrics, from glucose to walking, etc. And with iOS 15, one feature that I'm super excited about is walking steadiness, where it will also analyze that you might be likely to fall or things among those lines, which is very exciting. David, slide deck looks great in my iPhone. Wonderful, that's great to hear. A major update for Control IQ being one of them. Control IQ, actually a great thing that you mentioned this, because they had their update 2 days ago or yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I read it just before I went to bed yesterday, and I made some notes. Okay, so updates from Tandem. This is just Tandem updates, not just Control IQ. So Tandem updates, phone bolus. They obviously submitted the pump bolus. Well, they keep referring to this as phone bolus, not phone control. So I don't know if you would be able to control other things of the pump, but based on the wording, it sounds like it's just literally bolus. So bolus, FDA came back to them with some feedback, and they need to reply to them, and it would be America's first phone control, so they're being cautious. They're hoping approval by the end of the year, and then once that is approved, they will basically use the learnings and data from that to file for iSport, the patch pump that Tandem is working on, and that has been pushed. The submission of it is pushed to 2022. God knows when they will approve it. And then when it comes to Control IQ, they will release an update to Control IQ relatively soon, but it will be with very minor updates. And so I'm not expecting any changes to the algorithm, because they said it will not require FDA approval. The big update to Control IQ is coming soon in the future, but that's very long term. So that's updates on Tandem and Control IQ. Libre 1 is much less accurate than second. It's crucial when we talk about... Yes, I agree. So that's why I said, you need to trust the data. And I think that's a very personal kind of judgment. Like, I looped on Libre 1 with Meow Meow because the data was accurate for me. I know it's not for many people. So like I said, it's a very personal kind of topic. But very well pointed out. Hi. Type 1D Arabic. Sorry, I just joined. When is the G7 being released? Hi, Rachel. So, G7, the only update on timings is that from 2 days ago, Dexcom said that they filed G7 for approval in the European Union. So they're hoping to get the CE mark and launch it here by the end of this year, by the end of 2021. And no word on other regions. They haven't filed with the FDA yet. They're still working on their paperwork to do that. Which, if I had to put my bet on it, I would say that probably means the US launch will probably be in 2022. But that's just what I'm gonna put my money on. Bet on. Freestyle Libre 2, let me just see where I was. Freestyle Libre 2 is not yet available in my region. Add captain. Yeah, it's very interesting because there are many places where Libre 2 is not out yet. Also, I talk about all these different things, but like UK is actually not the greatest when it comes to product launches. Like Freestyle Libre 2 was only launched here during the pandemic. So it's been a long time coming. If you watch my videos, you know that I like this method of Europe's Big Five, which I stole it from the Eurovision. So if you watch Eurovision, you know there are what we call Big Five nations, and they go to the final straight away, and that's UK, Germany, Italy, Spain, and France. I think that's right. And we were the last of the Big Five to get Libre 2. So, it does take a long time in many places. And we probably won't get Libre 3 for a long time. Libre 3 only in Germany, if you're interested. Comment. Am I the only person who cannot see her video? Super embarrassed. I don't know. Try maybe if you can't hear or see me, then that's unfortunate. I don't know. It seems like it's working for everyone else. Maybe that's just your internet connection. Anything released yet for glucose monitoring using non-invasive technology? So this is an interesting one. I don't really talk about that. I haven't made a video about it specifically because it's like these rumors come about every couple of years for the Apple Watch specifically. One interesting development is that the one company which allegedly has made some significant progress, I can't remember the name, it's a UK-based company actually, they have a partnership with Apple, and they made some statements like, one of our key partners will launch a product with our technology, whatever. So maybe 2022, but honestly, I wouldn't put my bets on it. It's definitely not to happen this year. I can assure you that. We will see. How do you keep up with the DIY community? The best way would be on Facebook. To be honest, the DIY community is the only reason why I am on Facebook. I don't use Facebook. I don't agree with a lot of what Facebook does, and I think it's a very it's a social media platform that needs serious regulation, but let's not get into that. But you need to be on Facebook really to stay on top of what's happening with the DIY stuff. So on Facebook there's a group called Looped, which all the latest stuff is there. And also there is a new one. Well, if you're from the UK, there is Looped UK. There might be a local group to your country with more specific information about the pumps available in your region, etc. And there's also Loop and Learn, which is also very good, another Facebook group. So all Facebook, as you can see. Which closed loop system do you think works best? Now, this is a question that I actually get quite a lot. I don't think there is a best system out there. I think it all depends on what you want. Just like with the DIY systems that we mentioned previously, it all depends on your personal preferences. honestly, like, it depends on, you know, which insulin pump you want. Is it a tubeless pump or a tubed pump which continuous glucose monitor works best for you? So many variables. But I think the interesting thing is that, as you can see on the diagram, there are more and more double lines. So ultimately, for example, if you want an Omnipod pod, you will have a choice of 2 algorithms, right? So 2 hybrid closed loop systems, and Omnipod or Tidepool loop, and they might announce more partners in the future. And then you also have the choice of, well, if you want Omnipod, ultimately you'll be able to go with either Medtronic, Libre, or Dexcom CGM, depending on which hybrid closed loop you go for. So I think that's super exciting. Works fine, but use calibration. Yeah, exactly. Can hear you twice. Hope that's not. How to extend honeymoon period with type 1? I don't think that is possible, and I'm not a healthcare professional to advise on that. I'm on Tandem Dexcom system. Can I view my live sugars on Android Watch? Do I need to switch to Apple? So if you want, Tandem Dexcom system, so I'm assuming you're referring to Control IQ. If you are on Control IQ, then you can view your CGM data on using Dexcom's app, and they have an Apple Watch app, which is very nice. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not going to show that. So yes, the actual Control IQ data, if you live in the US, then in the US they have a T-View, anyway, an app which shows you your pump data, but you cannot control it. But the question was about Android Watch. So everything that I said also applies to Android. So Dexcom has an Android Wear app for Android watches, and Tandem has a Tandem app if you live in the US for the so I think it's called T-Connect actually, to display your pump data. 780G or T-Slim Control IQ. I would go and with those things, I always recommend speaking to people who actually use it. So if you go to my which insulin pump I should choose video, one of the things I set there is to go to the comments and post one thing that you wish you knew about your pump before starting it. And there's so many great things that people pointed out under that video. I would highly recommend you maybe have a look at that. And some more recent pumps like the 780 have also been mentioned there. Are there any systems on the NHS? Or anyway, I can administer my insulin via a smart rather than lifting my pump. Right, so in terms of systems, let me go to the main screen. So in terms of systems on the NHS, so NHS just announced a trial of 1,000 people will be trying hybrid closed loop systems. So that is a trial which will build hopefully enough evidence that hybrid closed loops can be reimbursed on a national level. In terms of insulin pumps, we have pumps in the UK which have phone control already. So Dana is one of them. So Dana I or Dana RS is the pump by Soil, and they have their own app for iOS and Android which has full pump control. Not just bolus, but you can also, because basically the entire pump you can control from your phone. So that's a pump that we have which has full phone control in the UK and many other places, rather than lifting. Right, yeah, and Tandem obviously doesn't have phone control, as we already mentioned. Have you tried Fiasp? Yes, I'm being Fiasp is being pumped. I'm using it. I love it. It's a much faster insulin. I'm not a healthcare professional, so there's no medical advice. It's just my experience. I really like Fiasp. Lavamere. Is better than fears. Right. Okay. Lovely comments. And the major update has been delayed. Joel, dude, I don't know what that is referring to. Does anyone else get way lower readings with finger pricks than Dexcom? I have to calibrate every sensor. My husband says this is the most common problem. Yeah, it would be good. So if anyone is also experiencing that accuracy of your Dexcom system, I use G6. I have been using Dexcom G6 since they basically launched in the UK. I find incredibly accurate results. Actually, most recently, I've been trying to lose a little bit of weight, and I've been eating smaller portions and things like that. And I've actually been questioning my accuracy recently, but I don't know if you get the same thing. But my symptoms for a lower glucose or low are often very similar to when I'm hungry. So I've been like, there's no way I'm 5.5. I feel like I'm about to hit a low and I'm just hungry. So yeah, I've been verifying my readings very frequently over the last couple of weeks and just been shocked by just how accurate they are. So that's my experience. If anyone else finds different, let us know in the comments. Would love to hear more. We never got the second generation of the original Freestyle Libre. Yeah, UK has been it's taken a while. If you have in Birmingham, would love to meet. I have no yeah. I'm sure that can be arranged at a meetup or something. You're doing amazing. Love your live. Oh, thank you so much. Love these live streams. We'll be able to watch again. Where will this be available to watch again? This is a good question. I thought about this. Would you want this live stream to be available as a video? I mean, it's very unstructured, and by design, I didn't want to do like a section on a CGM section, just go with a freestyle and what you guys want to talk about. But I don't know if this is very good content just to watch. But if you want to, I can definitely post that as a video. Yeah, it's T-Connect. Yeah. These names, some of these names that companies come up with, Jesus. Hello, from Washington State. Love it. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for the lovely comments. That's actually very sweet. So disappointing closed loops and pump availability for insulin resistance. Tell me what you mean by insulin resistance. I'm curious. Just actual because some pumps have special infusion sets if someone has severe. So if you inject insulin with a this is no medical advice. If you inject insulin with a pen or normal infusion set and the insulin isn't absorbed, there are things like Diaport. There are Roche cells to the Accu-Chek pumps, and that's like a surgery that you have to go through, and then the infusion set is basically inserted in your body. So if that's what you're referring to, that might be an avenue to look into. What's the best and most comfort adhesive to use with my sensor? My bandage itches like hell and only stays on for a week due to heat where I live. My sensor can't stay on without adhesive either. In terms of adhesives, I don't really have any problems with adhesives. I have used the ones that I use are the is it called Under My Patch? Not Just My Patch or something like that. Not Just My Patch. I think that's what it's called. I think it's from Australia or New Zealand. It's very good. That's what I use and I really like it. No burning from Fiasp. No, actually, no. I've had a very good experience, and obviously it depends on your physiology and lifestyle, but I have nothing but good things to say about it. Both pumping and injecting it with a pen. Very good for me. Was referencing to Control IQ software update. Listen to the conference call area. Oh, okay. Disappointing. Oh, yes. I get what you mean now. Yes. Yeah, it is disappointing. From a European point of view, I hope I would have wished that they would still file, because we don't know if they filed with the European authorities. If they did, my guess would have been that phone control would have been here already, especially because in Europe we do have approved pumps with phone control, like the Dana pump. So European authorities don't see that as a burden. I'm not implying that FDA does, but it's clearly something that they not very proactive about, shall we say. Oh, you're the best. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. Come in. I am on Medtronic 679G. That's a new model. I guess that's 670G pump. And Medtronic, is there any way for them to talk to each other for better control? Well, not today, but eventually, Medtronic pump. So the bottom row is Medtronic pump. Will talk to a Dexcom continuous glucose monitor via the Tidepool Loop project. So not today. Today that is not a possibility, but in the future that will be a possibility in the US via Tidepool Loop. But I want to make it clear that we're not expecting that soon. My probably guess would be that we might. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have Tidepool Loop until 2022. In the US, because it seems like FDA has just been so busy with the COVID stuff. Actually, an interesting note, because I knew that you guys would probably talk about timelines. So the Freestyle Libre 2 app that I mentioned before, there we go, hey, that one. So Abbott filed this app with the FDA agency on the 30th of June 2020, and they received approval on the 30th of July 2021, which was a Friday, and they announced on the Monday. So it took them 13 months to get approval for a regulatory thing called 510K, which is irrelevant here. Basically, it took them 13 months. Now, assuming that FDA didn't have any issues with the app, which I'm assuming they didn't, for comparison, that kind of approval would, in the normal conditions, take 3 months. 3 to 4 months. That's what we would normally expect for an app approval of this kind. So, 13 months versus 3 months. We're talking about a colossal extension of time. So, I wouldn't expect Tidepool Loop this year, purely because of FDA's backlog. I think they will have a lot of lessons on how to structure their resources the next time there is such a big health pandemic type thing. Anyway, cheers to that. Where was I? No burning. Oh, okay. Glucose meters with similar names. Contour what now? Oh, yeah, because I mentioned that. Yeah, these names. Yeah. Contour Next. Yeah. Speaking of Contour Next, I've interviewed the president and CEO. It was my second interview. If you want more Contour news, you can watch that. Capacity and hard limits on no users. Capacity hard limits on pumps while looping. Yeah. Some of those restraints are really irritating. SkinTac works great. Available on Amazon. Yes. Under my patch thing, that works great for me. I have tried SkinTac. Didn't work that well for me. But that's just my skin, maybe. Hello, hi. Yeah, it's my first live stream. I'm very excited. FD has always been cagey about Bluetooth. Yeah. It is disappointing, but I think in general the ICGM work that they've been doing has been excellent. So I think there's progress, and I'm pretty sure that the diabetes division of the FDA has had changes in their leadership. I can't remember the name of the new head of that medical devices team, but maybe some fresh blood will update their opinions, shall we say. Any updates on Freestyle Libre 3? Only joined the live stream. We have talked about it. It's fine. Libre 3, it's in what I would consider soft launch in Germany. So people who want to upgrade, they can apply on like a 3D Libre 3 website in Germany. Last time I checked, it wasn't available in the store and through the regular prescription channels. It's only to people who kind of want to try the new tech, but it's available there. I've put this quick slide with all of the main kind of features. Same accuracy as Libre 2, 70% smaller in size. You can see it there. The environmental impact of that is obviously less plastic and less cardboard. And interesting is that the Libre 3 streams data every minute, not every 5 minutes. So other continuous glucose monitors like Dexcom, Eversense, and Medtronic, I'm pretty sure they all stream every 5 minutes. Although there is something in me that makes me think that one of them streams every 3 minutes, but I'm not sure. Anyway, but this is the most frequent. This one does it every minute. I'm just waiting for the G7 release, don't we all? I finally made the decision to sign in on it again. Lovely to hear. Any news on G7? So the only G7 news from 2 days ago is that Dexcom filed G7 for European approval, and we are expecting it by the end of this year. They haven't filed for the American FDA, which makes me feel like that the US launch might be pushed a little bit into 2022. The correspondent, the reason why I usually only reference those two is that the way the regulatory system works is that once you get an approval from one of those two regulators, then companies use that certificate, if you like, to request approval in other regions. So for example, in Canada, what Dexcom would do is they would take that PDF that says, Dexcom G7 is approved. They would email it to Health Canada, not email it, but you know what I mean. They would slide into Health Canada's DMs, and they will use that as the proof that it's safe. So those two approvals drive approvals everywhere else. Just on a slightly wider point. FD has slowed to standstill. Yeah, 100% agree. Talking about that, I feel like my whole life is about G7 release. You wouldn't believe how many people ask me about G7 launch. It is, and I know I'm excited as well. They haven't announced which European countries. Well, they haven't announced anything about the launch, but I'm hoping that UK will be. Well, UK was the second country on the planet to get G6 after the US, and because it seems like the US launch is a little bit delayed, I think it's totally legit possible that UK might be the first country to get G7, but that's just my speculation. Thank you for answering my question. Thank you for answering the question, for asking the question. Any word on when Freestyle Libre 2 will be available for Android? Yes. So no word on that. So in everywhere else on the planet, the Libre Link app is available for Android and iOS. It's only in the US that they've done with an iOS only app. I haven't heard anything about Android timelines. Yeah, if I hear anything, I will let you know. They are working with Eversense. Isn't it since you're working with Eversense now? Yes, they are. So, so the second interview that I've done was with both presidents. So they've joined forces to sell the Eversense continuous glucose monitor, the implantable CGM. So in Europe, we have the 180-day version. In the US, there is the 90-day version. We will soon have, well, they're working on a 365-day version as well. So they're working together. And Ascensia is the name of the company behind the Contour 1 meter. That's right. Hello from Germany. Hello, Oliver. Right, so we've been going for what, 50 minutes, which is probably what I said about 45 minutes. If there are no more questions, we will slowly close. Are there any more questions? Any news on those funded NHS G6 transition to G7? I mean, G7 isn't even approved yet, so they wouldn't make any comments about it. From my point of view, people who had NHS reimbursement for G5 were transitioned on G6 for many reasons. The main was that it was cheaper. So I can't remember what the monthly cost of G5 was, but it was in the £200 mark. And the G6, it's been the 160. So NHS also made obviously a saving by transitioning everyone to G6, sorry. So assuming that the price of G7 isn't higher than G6, I think it would be a no-brainer. And actually, the G5 to G6 transition for NHS patients happened quite quickly after launch. So so I think that's a positive take. What's your A1C like? Are you good at managing your glucose? I don't share my HbA1c. I'm very happy with where I am. Yeah, I'm very happy with my day-to-day diabetes. I enjoy life, and I think we all should. You know, you only see 5% of my life that I decide to share on YouTube. But it might look like I only talk about diabetes, but that's really not what my day-to-day life is like. Yeah, I'm very happy with my results. And my team is incredibly happy as well. Right, any more questions? If we don't have any more questions, then I will slowly close. Yeah, because we've been going for, what, just an hour. It's way longer than I thought we would. This has been so fun. I need to do this more often. Okay, so thanks so much, everyone, for watching. Before I go, 2 super quick plugins that I want to do. First is an event that I'm co-organizing, that I'm on the committee for. Artist Live, happening on the 25th of September in London. We've got an amazing concert lined up for all of you. Some great acts, and it's going to be an amazing night. Food, champagne, drinks. Event for 18 plus and double vaccinated only. If you want to get tickets, go to the artist Twitter, and you can get the link to Eventbrite page. There, I actually had an update on the sales figures, and there really isn't a lot of tickets. So if you do want to attend, make sure you get your ticket soon. And second plug, if you are not part of the, if you are part of the DIY community, then you're probably aware of this. I just wanted to mention Kate DeSimone quickly. If you don't know who she is, she's truly an incredible person who has been responsible for making the Loop docs the incredible success that they are, and she has been facing some health difficulties, and as we all know, healthcare in the US can be incredibly expensive. So if you can donate, the community has created the GoFund page, and you can, I will post the link to that at the end of the live stream, or you could just go to the if you're in the Loop community, then I'm sure you could find the link in one of the groups. So those are the two plugins that I've got. Thank you so much for all of you for tuning in. This has been so fun, and I hope I can do another one of these soon. And until I do, I would recommend that you have your notifications turned on, because I've got some very exciting interviews in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for those. And thank you so much for coming, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone!